classic TV fans, Rick Nineg here. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Munsters. More specifically about one of their pets named Spot. Now if you're a fan of the Munsters, you absolutely love Spot. That's just how it works. That's how lovable Spot was. And just the Munsters in general. It's a show that we all love, and sometimes it's really cool to look at the minor characters, which we did enjoy, even if they made little brief appearances. Now, I'm going to tell you about the origins of Spot, and more specifically, to let you know that Spot wasn't specifically made for the Munsters. There's a lot more that comes from that story. But before, let's talk about two episodes where we see Spot. Now, Spot appeared in various episodes, but these are just two examples. One of them coming from Season 2, Episode 13. It's called Underground Munster. Now, in this one, the Munster's pet, who we talked about, Spot, he runs away from home after Herman scolds it for leaving mud prints all over the kitchen. Now, when Spot is finally sighted in the sewer system, Herman goes down to fetch him, but gets lost himself. Now, soon the newspaper ads and newspaper men have branded Spot a giant lizard monster, and Herman is apparently its mate. Now, the mayor, who's facing re-election, uses that to his advantage and decides to bomb the sewers in order to get rid of the creatures once and for all. Now, it's a funny episode. I'm sure that you have seen it if you're a big Munsters fan. And you do see Spot, but in this one, you don't really see his face or his head. All you really see are his tail, and just as he's running away, you see some of his scales and so forth. But let's look at this episode where you actually do get to see Spot's head. Now, not only do you get to see Spot's head, but you really get to see a cool effect from the 1960s, well, mid-1960s. It's an episode called A House Divided, Season 2, Episode 29. This is when Herman and Grandpa began to feud after the birthday present they built for Eddie is destroyed. Now, they split the house down the middle with a white line, and they agree to stay on opposite sides of that line. Now, it's up to Lily and Marilyn to get them to work out any of the differences that they're having so that they can build a new present for Eddie before it's too late. Well, before they can't celebrate his birthday anymore. Now, in this one, it's great because we see a scene where Herman has basically a big stick or a big rod, and it has two spikes on it, which he puts two hot dogs on it. He goes to the stairs where Spot is hiding. The stairs open up, and we see Spot's head, and he roars, and fire comes out of his nose. You can even see some of the pyrotechnic effects, or just a flamethrower device that's mounted on top of the nose. It's pretty funny because the fire itself lights up the whole scene. And as he's firing up everything, you get a real good look at Spot. Now, I know a lot of you may think, well, was he specifically made for the show The Munsters? Well, no. You could say he was stolen, or he was taken from another movie. Now, the movie that this was originally created for was from 1957. It was called The Land Unknown. Now, yes, you may have guessed it. It was a Universal International Pictures film. If you know, The Munsters was made and created by Universal Studios, which is basically the same company. I mean, they had that prop head of that Tyrannosaurus Rex that they used for Land Unknown in the prop shop. And they said, hey, can we reuse this? Now, not that The Land Unknown was the most popular movie ever. It really wasn't. And it wasn't the worst ever. But the idea is that if they had this prop, why don't they reuse it? Most people won't recognize it. And yes, this was confirmed as the exact same head from The Land Unknown, later used as Spot. So this is really cool because it's not unusual to have props to be reused. I've made several videos on it. I made a recent video on scenes that were reused, stock footage, and so forth. But it's really cool to make these connections and to make the connection of that movie, if you ever want to watch it, Land Unknown, and know that you are seeing Spot. These are some of the pictures of Land Unknown mixed with the head of Spot so that you can see the similarity, see that it is in fact the same head. Now, how many of you actually knew this? This is really, really cool, really, really interesting to me. These are the things that I like to point out, whether people know about it or not. Majority of people don't know about it, and that's why I do want to talk about it. I want to keep all of this information and things going so that these shows can live on in our memories. We can still talk about them and bring new life to them. So I thank you for supporting this channel and the work that I'm doing. Thank you so much as always. Don't forget to always stay positive and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to my supporters on Patreon, especially my Diamond tier patrons. New patron Gerard D, David D, Citizen Kane 359, Greg S, Kevin K, Ricky, Sally, and Vito L. Make sure to check the links in the description to see how you could be on this list as well.